Rhaegar being gay. So this is going to be something that is hard for a lot of people to swallow before they've seen and heard the evidence. So let me go over some of that right now. Probably the most enigmatic moment of Rhaegar in the whole series is a story we hear about him as a child, I think from Barristan Selmy. And the story goes that Rhaegar was kind of a bookworm. He liked to be in the library reading and studying and looking at scrolls and all that stuff. And he had no interest in swords, in sword fighting or combat, or any of the things that boys are usually interested in this setting. And Rhaegar was so uninterested in combat and so bookish that the knights in the castle started to murmur bitterly to each other that he was Baelor the Blessed born again. Okay, I'll read it here. It says, "As a young boy, the Prince of Dragonstone was bookish to a fault. He was reading so early that men said Queen Rhaella must have swallowed some books and a candle, whilst he was in her womb. Rhaegar took no interest in the play of other children. The maesters were awed by his wits, but his father's knights would jest sourly that Baelor the Blessed had been born again. Until one day Prince Rhaegar found something in his scrolls that changed him. No one knows what it might have been, only that the boy suddenly appeared early one morning in the yard as the knights were donning their steel. He walked up to Sir Willem Darry, the master-at-arms, and said, 'I will require sword and armor. It seems I must be a warrior.' 'And he was,' said Dany, delighted." So that's Barristan telling the story to Dany. There are two viable explanations implied in that story for Rhaegar's sudden interest in learning how to fight with a sword. But right now the audience can only see one of them. And that one is that Rhaegar was obsessed with books. He was just a bookish by nature. Everything you do has an opportunity cost, and swordplay was just the opportunity cost of reading books and sharpening his mind. The second explanation that nobody sees is that the knights were jesting sourly. Let me read it again. "The maesters were awed by his wits, but his father's knights would jest sourly that Baelor the Blessed had been born again. Until one day Prince Rhaegar found something in his scrolls that changed him." So the story directly tells us that what changed him was something he found in his scrolls. And if Rhaegar is gay, then you need to cover that up. Because in Westeros, in this society, you're not really allowed to be gay. Especially when you're the prince. And if you are gay, you're not allowed to let anyone know it. This is like a huge sin against their gods, the Faith of the Seven. And it causes a bunch of political problems where people are going to see you as less legitimate of a ruler or an heir. So what really happened was that Rhaegar noticed that he was being mocked, that they were jesting sourly about him not being interested in swords, and he also noticed by this age that he was gay. Or at the very least, he started to notice that he was different in a way that he might be gay. So I would put him at around age like 11 to 13 here in this story. And knowing about the stigma against homosexuality, he knew he had to cover it up. And the way you cover it up in this society is you become manly. You start learning how to fight. And so that's the real reason Rhaegar suddenly decided to learn how to fight with swords. And if you want to see an example of knights jesting sourly about other boys or men being uninterested in combat, there's one in the story involving a singer who's symbolic of Rhaegar. When Catelyn and Sir Roderick are at an inn, a singer named Marillion comes up and offers to play music for them. We learn that Roderick hates musicians. He says something like, "Singing is fine for girls, but I don't understand why any healthy boy would pick up an instrument instead of a sword." Rhaegar's also like a melancholy doomer kind of guy. So him being gay goes along with that, where he just feels emotions more strongly than usual. And he's also got something to be sad about, that he can't be open about his sexuality because of the stigma. But he was more open than most gay people get to be, because... Alright, so we're going to the Tower of Joy. The name of the Tower of Joy is a play on words. It's a sneaky reference to Rhaegar's dick. There, I said it. The Tower of Joy was, as its name suggests, Rhaegar's slam pad. But it isn't where he brought women, it's where he brought men. And I don't know who all of his gay lovers were, but I know that one of them was John Connington, and I'm pretty sure Jonathan Derry and Miles Mooton were other ones. And if you start looking at the names of other places nearby to the Tower of Joy on the map, you'll see that a lot of them, too, are references to homosexuality or penises. There's the Tower of Joy, House Ironwood, the Bone Way. So yet again, we have a situation where the story sets up these two competing camps of interpretation. The two sides kind of sound like this. Rhaegar was a prophecy-obsessed pervert/pedophile and irresponsible and caused the war. And the other side is like, maybe we should wait for all of the information to come out before we condemn Rhaegar. And of course, the maybe we should wait for more information stance is never going to be popular. Everybody wants to be a morally righteous condescender of other people. And this is a situation where it's really easy to do that, because we don't know all the information. So this situation drives to the story's themes about justice, where one of the things the story is trying to draw attention to, or maybe even teach, is a principle that can be found at the foundations of our own justice systems in the real world. And the principle is about fair trials. It's the idea that a person is not innocent until proven guilty, but they should be presumed innocent until proven guilty. And so the let's wait for more evidence side of the argument was the side that was doing that. They were acting out the justice principles that underlie our own society. And the people who were quick to jump to condemnation of Rhaegar were failing to do that even while they enjoy the benefits of the principle that this other group is standing for.